thanks for joining NTA's live telecast of proceedings from the National Assembly, House of Representatives. I am Itaire Ikben, and we are reaching you live from the lobby of the chamber of the House of Representatives. Speaker Tajuddin Abbas is already seated in the chamber, and quite a number of bills, about 11 bills, to be considered on the floor of the House. Also to be considered or reconsidered are bills from the preceding 9th Assembly. Those bills will be reconsidered on the floor of the House today. We have with us the chairman of the House Committee on Rules and Business, Representative Ejirogene Francis Waive, who will fill us in. Honorable, many thanks for joining us on the program.
Thank you, it's my pleasure.
Okay, and can you let us into the benefits of reconsidering bills from the previous assembly, and maybe you will also fill us in on some of the bills that will be reconsidered on the floor of the House today?
Yeah, the benefits of reconsidering bills from previous assembly. First of all, bills that qualify for that are bills that passed either in the House or in the Senate, in the previous assembly, in this case in the 9th Assembly. The aim here is not to waste legislative time and resources in going through the hurdle again, reinventing the wheel as you please. So today we are recommitting, and after recommittal we skip second reading and the debates and all that, and it goes straight to the committee of the whole, just to take advantage of beautiful pieces of legislation that didn't get presidential assent or concurrence of the second house. And today we have seven, I beg your pardon, we have 4 of such bills. Yes, 6 actually of such bills
to be reconsidered.
That will be recommitted today, and thereafter reconsideration will take place in the committee of the whole.
Yeah. Okay, and interestingly, quite a number of constitution alteration bills are already coming on the floor of the House for consideration. But yesterday we had one that was that was rejected on the floor of the House, and that's talking about the bill seeking for ensuring that the winner of the presidential or governorship election scores more than half of the total number of votes. That bill refused to even scale through the process of presentation for second reading. So what is the fate of that bill?
That bill is dead because most members believe that the 1999 Constitution as amended has made enough provision for the president who will emerge to have nationwide spread, at least a quarter of the votes in 2/3 of the states of the Federation. Most members believe that that's enough in the presidential system for any president who emerges to have a widespread support. So this new amendment that was sought was looked upon as just unnecessary and something that may not be attainable given the huge population and the presidential system requiring a quarter of the votes in 2/3 states. Is just good enough to have that for the president who emerges.
Okay, thank you, Honorable Waive. And so quite a number of bills will be considered and several others reconsidered on the floor of the House today. Like I indicated earlier, Speaker Tajuddin Abbas is already seated presiding over the proceedings for the day. So we will just take you right into the Green Chamber for the deliberations of the day. Thank you.
Yeah, Doctor, we have not heard your voice for quite some time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My name is Dr. Adebayo Adepoju. I represent the good people of Ibarapa Central, Ibarapa North Federal Constituency of the Payseta State. Mr. Speaker, I am from Oyo State. I rise to second the motion to suspend our rules to allow my leader deliver his motion on urgent public importance. I so second, Mr. Speaker.
Those in support of this motion should say aye. Those against should say nay. The ayes have it. The second leg of the motion. Honorable Alex, I've not seen your face for quite some time. I know your face always bright in this chamber. Yeah, please do.
With felicity, I remain appreciative of the opportunity availed to the only white man in this assembly to valiantly vocalize. Mr. Speaker, that one is not a white man. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, I am Alex Mascot Ikweche, and I have been charged to vigorously and vehemently vivify the vision of the people of Aba North and Aba South in this venerable assembly. I stand to second the motion ably moved by my honorable colleague. I so second. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Those in support of this motion should say aye. Aye. Those against should say nay. The ayes have it. Honorable Isiaka, please proceed.
Once again, thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, and I want to appreciate my honorable colleagues who found me worthy this motion to be seconded, and the two white men in front. Mr. Speaker, this is a motion on the need for national reconciliation and integration process to build confidence of a new generation order in Nigeria. The House notes with delight various calls for national reconciliation and integration process in Nigeria, which is an essential ingredient for building confidence in a new generation order by addressing historical divisions, promoting social cohesion, ensuring political instability, fostering economic development, empowering our youth, enhancing international reputations, preventing conflicts, and facilitating nation building. The House also notes that Nigeria has a history of ethnic, religious, and regional diversity, which requires a united nation essential for social stability and development. The House agreed that reconciliation fosters a sense of common identity, reducing tensions and promoting social cohesion. National integration ensures political stability and it minimizes the risk of ethnic or regional conflicts. A stable political environment is essential for economic growth and overall development in any nation. Convinced that a united Nigeria is better positioned to attract investments and engage in economic development, investors are more likely to commit resources to a politically stable and integrated nation. The House further convinced that a reconciled and integrated society provides a conducive environment for the empowerment of our younger generation. It allows them to focus on education and skill development, contributes to national progress. A united nation enhances Nigeria's international reputation. It promotes diplomatic relations and cooperation and makes it easier to engage with the global community for mutual benefits. The House is cognizant of the fact that reconciliation helps identify and addresses potential sources of conflict before they escalate. It is a proactive approach to prevent the recurrence of historical issues that could lead to unrest. The House believes that building a new generational order requires a foundation of unity and shared values. National reconciliation lays the groundwork for a collective vision, contributing to the development of a stronger and more inclusive nation. In view of the foregoings, the House hereby resolves to 1. urge the federal government to, as a matter of urgency, set in motion the process for national reconciliation and integration in Nigeria. 2, the House urges the leadership of the National Assembly to set up a joint special committee that will interface with the federal government on the actualization of the national reconciliation and integration in Nigeria as a matter of national policy and unity. Mr. Speaker, I so move, distinguished honorable colleagues. Thank you very much, sir.
Any second, Honorable Nalaraba.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My highly respected colleagues. Abubakar Hassan Nalaraba is my name. I represent the good people of Awedo, Makana Federal Constituency, Mr. Speaker. I'm from Nasarawa State. I rise to second the motion ably moved by my dear colleague, Honorable Isiaka. I so second, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Those in support of this motion should say aye. Those against should say nay. The ayes have it. This motion will be referred to an ad hoc committee to be constituted in due course. The next motion is coming from Honorable Bello Hassan Shinkafi. If Honorable Bello is around, please can you rise and move your motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My name still remains Honorable Bello Hassan Shinkafi. I represent the entire people of Shinkafi Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I am from Zamfara State. Mr. Speaker, I came under Order 8 Rule 5.2 of our standing rule on matter of urgent public importance on the need to extend UTME registration by Joint Admission Matriculation Board, JAM. Mr. Speaker, with your kind permission, I seek the leave of this House to allow me to present this of my motion. Thank you.
Any seconder to the first leg? Yes, Honorable Tunji.
Thank you, Your Excellency. My name is Abdurrahim Tuji Olawi. I represent the good people of Irepodu Ekiti, Okero Federal Constituency. I'm from the state of Harmony. I rise to second the first leg of this motion to suspend our rules so that we can take the motion. I so second.
Those in support of this motion should say aye. Those against should say nay. The ayes have it. The second leg, Honorable Laure.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable members, Kwamati Bitrus Lauri, representing Jamsa Numa Lamu, the Federal Constituency of Adamawa State. Mr. Speaker, I do hereby second the second leg of the motion. I do say second.
Those in support of this motion should say aye. Those against should say nay. The ayes have it. Honorable, please proceed.
On matter of urgent public importance on the need to extend the UTME registration by Joint Admission Matriculation Board, JAM. Mr. Speaker, the House knows that Joint Admission Matriculation Board, JAM, is constituted and established by law to register and conduct the Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination, UTME, for the purpose of admitting candidates into tertiary institutions in Nigeria. Also note that 2024 UTME, which commenced from 15 January, ended on 26 February 2024. We are all aware of the painful economic situation prevailing in the country. As a result, many families have been constrained from registering their wards by timeline. Worried that the online registration, which constituted setback to non-conversant candidates who anticipated for the examination participation, will not achieve the core objective because of imminent deadline, which requires your legislative attention and intervention. Also worried, without extension of the restriction, many candidates will not be able to register and participate in the exercise. And that means there will not be a wider coverage and participation in this year's UTME examination in Nigeria. Convinced that your quick response to the extension of time by 2 weeks will encourage the parent of this candidate to persistently register their children. Importantly, this will reassure the public on the confidence of this current administration in Nigeria. The House resolved urge the House to mandate the JAMB to extend the registration for 2 weeks to enable the anticipated potential candidate to register for the 2024 UTME. 2. Mandate the relevant committee on education and legislative compliance to enforce strict compliance. Mr. Speaker, I so submit. Thank you.
Any seconder? Honorable Zakaria.
Your Excellency, Mr. Speaker, my distinguished colleagues, my name is Honorable Zakaria Dewda Nyampa, member representing the good people of Madagali, Michiga Federal Constituency from Adamawa State. I rise to second this very important motion by my Deputy Chairman. I so second.
Those in support of this motion should say aye. Those against should say nay. The ayes have it. This motion is referred to the Committee on Examination Boards for further legislative action. The next matter of urgent public importance is coming from Honorable Engineer Dominic Ifeanyi Okafo. If our engineer is around, please, you can rise and move your motion.
Good morning. I am indefatigable, the servant leader, the leader that leads from the front, Right Honorable Tajuddin Abbas, PhD, and my also honorable colleagues. My name is Honorable Engineer Dominic.
Leader of the minority.
My name is Honorable Engineer Dominic Ifeanyi Okafo. I represent Nigeria starting from Abuja Federal Constituency and from Anambra State. I rise this morning and ask the leave of the House to set aside all relevant rules to allow me to present this very urgent public motion on the plight of depositors and customers of financial institutions whose licenses were revoked by the Central Bank of Nigeria. I hereby move.
Any seconder? Honorable Batova.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I remain Fatou Olushola. I represent the good people of Ado Ekiti, Irepo Odun Federal Constituency, and from Ekiti State. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, I rise this morning to second the motion for urgent public importance. The first leg, I so second. Thank you, sir.
Those in support of this motion should say aye. Those against should say nay. The ayes have it. The second leg. My brother from Benue.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Distinguished colleagues, my name is Solomon Wombo. I represent the people of Kasnala, Ukum, Logo Federal Constituency. Your Excellency, I rise to second the second leg of the motion that it is urgent enough for the House to set aside the rules and permit our colleague to present the motion. I so second, Your Excellency. Thank you.
Those in support of this motion should say aye. Those against should say nay. The ayes have it. Honorable, please proceed.
Motion on public matter of urgent public importance on the plight of depositors and customers of financial institutions whose licenses were revoked by the Central Bank of Nigeria. knows that the Central Bank of Nigeria, in accordance with provisions of Banks and Other Financial Institutions Act, BOFIA 2020, Act number 5, revoked the operational licenses of about 132 micro banks, 4 primary mortgage banks, and 3 finance businesses in March 2023. Further knows that sometime in September 2023, the Central Bank gave an approval in principle to some microfinance banks, outlining the requirements and conditions needed to grant approval of final license to affected banks and financial houses. Aware that some microfinance banks and other financial businesses have fulfilled the conditions of the Central Bank of Nigeria many months ago and applied for final approval for the issuance of a final operating license to their banks. Very concerned that despite meeting the capital requirements and other numerous verification documents of the Central Bank of Nigeria many months ago, the operating licenses of the revoked microfinance banks and other finance houses are yet to be restored, and no communication to that effect has emanated from the Apex Bank. Further worried that some of these microfinance banks commence business as community banks with deposits largely made by whole communities, including retirees, schools, age grades, clubs, town unions, aged people, market women, kindreds, etc., who are presently stranded with some at the point of death for lack of access to their funds. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, further worried that the current economic hardship in the country is taking a great toll, resulting in the death of some depositors in affected micro banks and finance houses. Therefore, the House resolves to 1, invite the Governor of Central Bank of Nigeria to effectively address the House on issues warranting the delay of approval of final licenses to affected micro banks and finance houses, or otherwise release them to them immediately. 2, mandate the committees on banking institutions, banking regulations to collaborate with the Central Bank of Nigeria with the intent to expedite the release of final licenses to affected microfinance banks and finance houses to ameliorate the hardship of the depositors. 3, mandate the Central Bank of Nigeria to release trapped funds of depositors in microfinance banks and finance businesses whose licenses were revoked but are willing to comply with the necessary requirements back to the depositors. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, I hereby move.
Any seconder? Yes, honorable. Please go ahead.
The right, the honorable Speaker. I remain Kelechi Nwog. I'm from Rivers State. I represent the people of Echie Omoma Federal Constituency. Right, honorable Speaker, I stand to second the motion moved by my colleague. I so second.
Those in support of this motion should say aye. Those against should say nay. The ayes have it. This motion is referred to the committees on banking institutions and banking regulation for further legislative action. Leader, please can you move for the suspension of our rules to take one additional motion?
Mr. Speaker, I rise to move that we suspend our relevant rules to enable us move one more motion of urgent national importance. I so move.
Leader, please can you second?
Mr. Speaker, my dear colleagues, Kingsley Chinda, I rise to second the motion as very well moved by the House Leader. I so second.
Those in support of this motion should say aye. Those against should say nay. The ayes have it.
Just a minute.
Honorable Kama Ikem Kama, if you're ready, please move your motion.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Honorable colleagues, Kama Nkem Kama is my name. I represent the awesome people of Ohozara, Onitsha and Igbo Federal Constituency. I'm from a boy state, the south of the nation. Mr. Speaker, I beg the leave of the House to suspend, I come under order 806, am I correct? To seek leave of the House to suspend all relevant, to allow me to move this motion. I so move, Mr. Speaker. Thank you very much. And the motion is of the call of the President to comprehensively review the 2012 Orosa report, all other related matter reports, and white papers before implementation. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Any seconder to the first leg? Yes, Honorable. Go ahead.
Thank you, the People's Speaker, distinguished colleagues. Bashi Akwa is my name. I speak for Kala Municipality, Urban Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I rise this moment to move that the motion is urgent enough to be heard. I so move. Thank you.
Those in support of this motion should say aye. Those against should say nay. The ayes have it. The second leg? The only rock of the House. But if there's anyone challenging that, please, you should rise up. But I know of only one rock. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My name is Honorable Peter Anekwe, member representing the good and hard-working people of Anambra East and West. Mr. Speaker, I'm from Anambra State. I rise this morning to second the second leg of the motion, every moved by my colleague. I so second.
Those in support of this motion should say aye. Those against should say nay. The ayes have it. Please, Honorable Kama, proceed with your debate.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues. A call on the President to comprehensively review the 2012 Orosa report, all other related reports, white papers before implementation. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, be reminded that in 2012, the President Goodluck Jonathan administration set up the Presidential Committee on the Rationalization and Restructuring of the Federal Government Parastatals, Commission and Agencies, headed by Stephen Osayon, a retired federal civil servant and former head of service of the Federation. The House aware that the Osayon Committee, after their painstaking assignment, recommended the scrapping and merging of 220 out of the then existing 541 government agencies. The House is also aware that the committee's 800-page report noted the government parastatal and agencies' functions are overlapping and therefore recommended the reduction of statutory agencies from 263 to 161. The abolition of 38 agencies, the merger of 52, and the reversion of 14 to department in ministries, and the management audit of 89 agencies, capturing biometric features of staff as well as the discontinuation of government funding of professional bodies and councils. The House again aware that the Orosa report said then that if the committee's recommendation was implemented, the government will be saving over 862 billion between 2012 and 2015, with a breakdown which show that about 24.8 billion will be reduced from agencies proposed for abolition, about 100.6 billion from agencies proposed for mergers, about 6.6 billion from professional bodies, 49.9 billion from universities, 50.9 from polytechnics, 32.3 billion from College of Education, and 6.16 million from boards of federal federal medical centers. The House further aware that other committee reports, the white paper committee set up by Jonathan administration, rejected most of the recommendations, while those accepted were not implemented. The House also know that in November 2021, President Muhammad Buhari administration inaugurated two committees. One of the committees, chaired by Goni Aji, a retired head of service of the Federation, was to review the Orosa report and the second committee, chaired by Ama Pepo, also a retired head of service of the Federation, was constituted to review agencies created between 2014 and 2021. Also, upon submission of their report, the Muhammad Buhari-led federal government in July 2022 set up another committee chaired by Ebele Okeke, a former head of the civil service of the Federation, to produce a white paper on the report. The House worried that the full implementation of the report 12 years after it was first made, which ordinarily may be described as outdated, especially because of how dynamic the society, economy, politics, technology, and all facets of our national life has been. The House concerned that it's contrary to the assumption that the full implementation of the report will reduce cost of governance with the current realities. The full implementation of the report will not substantially reduce the cost of governance, as it does not reflect the current situation in the public service of the Federation. The House deeply worried that the full implementation of 2012 Rosa report in 2024 will certainly throw up unintended consequences, implications, and outcomes. The House committed to supporting all positive actions and policies of the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu administration, which have minimum unintended consequences, impact, implications, and outcomes. The House cognizant of the primary purpose of government being the security and welfare of the citizens, as enshrined in Section 14(2)(b) of the Constitution of the Federal Government of Nigeria 1999 as altered. Resolve urge the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to comprehensively review the 2012 Orosa report, the Kony Aji reviewed Orosa report, the white paper released by the President Jonathan administration, the Ama Pepo white paper, and the Ebele Okeke white paper, in line with current realities, while considering implementable alternatives that are in tune with current realities, and which at the same time would have minimum unintended consequences, impacts, implications, and outcomes. Mr. Speaker, the House also urged the executive arm of government to develop and implement policies that will reposition the agricultural sector, the solid mineral sector, and the informal sectors, which will serve as alternatives to those that may be laid off consequentially, while at the same time supporting economic growth. I so move, Mr. Speaker. Thank you very much.
Any seconder? Yes, Honorable. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable colleagues, I am Honorable Murphy Osarua Omoroye. I rise to support the motion ably moved by my colleague. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Those in support of this motion should say aye. Those against should say nay. The ayes have it. This motion is referred to the just constituted ad hoc committee on restructuring of federal agencies and commission for further legislative action. Honorable members, the business of the day is presentation of reports on the 64th session of the Organization of African, Caribbean, Pacific States and European Union Parliamentary Assembly and first session of the OACPS-EU Joint Parliamentary Assembly under the Samoa Agreement held in Luanda, Angola between 17th and 24th of February 2024, standing in the name of Honorable Adewumi Onanuga. Honorable Onanuga is hereby invited to present the report.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ian Zao.
Don't thank me if you know you are not going to properly introduce yourself.
I shall. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ian Zao, the Agbaki Officer Ekiti. Onuno Kuroha, Ndi Igbo. Is that correct? My highly respected colleagues, my name is Right Honorable Dr. Princess Otumba Yeyoba Alaja Ijaya Adewumi Oriyomi Onanuga. I represent only me. I represent the fabulously united people of the Kene, Shagamu, and Remo North. I am from Ogun State. I stand today to ask that the House do receive the report of the Nigerian delegation to the 64th session of the Organization of African, Caribbean, Pacific States and European Union, OACPS-EU, Parliamentary Assembly and first session of the OACPS-EU Joint Parliamentary Assembly under the Samoa Agreement held in Luanda, Angola from the 17th to the 24th
Order, please. Order.
2024. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
The leader of the minority, can you please second?
Mr. Speaker, my dear colleagues, Kingsley Chinda, arise to second the motion that we do receive the report of the House from the Nigerian delegation on the 64th session of the Organization of African, Caribbean, Pacific States and the European Union. I so second.
Those in support of this motion should say aye. Those against should say nay. The ayes have it. Please go ahead and lay your report. Honorable colleagues, with your kind permission, we will take the first order to the seventh order all at once because they are all third reading. So, with your kind permission, I will instruct the leader of the House, that the first to the seventh will be taken together. Yeah. So, honorable colleagues, the first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh order of the day are reading the third readings of bills for an act to amend Agricultural Research Council of Nigeria Act, Cap 812, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria, 2004, to make provisions for establishment of Federal College of Agriculture, Gedam, and for related matters standing in the name of the House Leader. The second bill is the third reading of a bill for an act to repeal the Produce Enforcement of Export Standards Act P23, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria, 2004, and to enact the Federal Produce Inspection Service Enforcement of Export Standards Establishment Bill 2024 to provide for the inspection and enforcement of grades and quality standards of produce and commodity intended for export from Nigeria at ports of shipment and for related matters. The third order is the reading of a bill for an act to provide for coordinating and conduct of the practice of broadcasting profession in Nigeria and for related matters standing in the name of the House Leader. The fourth order of the day is the third reading of a bill for an act to repeal the Federal Capital Territory Abuja Area Codes, Repeal and Enactment Act 2010, and enact the Federal Capital Territory Abuja Area Codes Bill to, among other things, expand the jurisdiction of the area courts to entertain both civil and criminal matters and for related matters standing in the name of the House Leader. The fifth order of the day is the third reading of a bill for an act to establish Nigerian Peace Corps to facilitate peace, volunteerism, community services, neighborhood watch, and nation building, and for related matters, standing in the name of the House Leader. The sixth order of the day is the third reading of a bill for an act to amend the Federal Medical Center Acts and establish Federal Medical Center Abuja, and for related matters, standing in the name of the House Leader. The seventh order of the day is the third reading of a bill for an act to establish Chartered Institute of Public Management of Nigeria to provide for the control of its membership and to promote the practice of public management in Nigeria, and for related matters, standing in the name of the House Leader. Members will recall that these bills were adopted, the House adopted these reports of the Committee of the Whole on various dates. I therefore call on the Leader of the House to move that these bills be read the third time.
Mr. Speaker, I'm Professor Julius Ihonvire, ON DSSRS, Owan Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I'm from Edo State. I rise to move that HB 767, HB 616, HB 247, HB 378, HB 309 and HB 482, as well as HB 799 and HB 984, as accurately and effectively presented by Mr. Speaker, be read a third time. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
The Minority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, my dear colleagues, Kingsley Chinda, I rise to second the motion that the House do read for the third time the following bills: HB 767, HB 616, HB 247, HB 378, Consolidated Bill HB 309 and HB 482, HB 799 and HB 984. I so second.
Those in support of this motion should say aye. Those against should say nay. The ayes have it. Clerk.
Right Honourable Speaker, Honourable Members, a bill for an act to amend the Agricultural Research Council of Nigeria Act Cap 812 Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004 as amended to make provision for establishment of Federal College of Agriculture, Gedam, and for related matters. Third reading. A bill for an act to repeal the Produce Enforcement of Export Standards Act Cap P23 Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004 and enact the Federal Produce Inspection Service Enforcement of Export Standards Establishment Bill 2024 to provide for the inspection and enforcement of grades and quality standards of produce and commodity intended for export from Nigeria at ports of shipment and for related matters.